There was a farmer who had 10 apple seeds. Okay? 10 apple seeds. He takes these apple seeds and he places them into the ground. So these apple seeds are like, okay, where we're going, they don't know. And they're going into this deep into the ground, like 3 feet underground. And all of a sudden they wake up and they notice they're like in this dirt. And it's dark. And they think that's it. Life is over here. So one apple seed says, hey, let's just party, you know. What else is there to live for? Let's just all party. And the other apple seed says, no, you know, I remember once upon a time there's life out there. We'll call him Rabbi Appleseed, okay? Rabbi Appleseed. There's always that Rabbi Appleseed, you know? No, there's a world out there, and there's life, and there's air, and there's birds, and there's animals, and humans, and there's galaxies, universes, and all types of trees, and all types of flowers. But he says, yeah, but how do we get to this world? The other seeds ask him, you want to get to this world? There's only one way, yeah? You have to push. And the more you push, the more you'll be able to get closer to that world. Okay, so what do we do? Let's all push. So you have these 10 apple seeds starting to push and push and push, and somehow they managed to make it a few inches. And now they made it a few inches, and some of them are like, listen, we're pushing, and we've been pushing for already a few days, but we didn't really get too far. We're still in the dark over here. What was the point of all pushing? He says, no, you have to keep pushing. I'm telling you, it's just a matter of time. We're going to get there. So half of them give up, and they say, forget about it. We should have joined that guy. You know, we should have partied. What are we wasting our energy for pushing? And eventually, 5 of them give up. 5 are left. Okay, what are we doing? We're going to continue pushing. And they continue to push, and they continue to push. And a week passes by. And finally, they reached a foot. They've reached a foot closer to ground level. They're just 2 feet away from the ground. They have to push 2 more feet. They were buried 3 feet into the ground. So now, they say, okay, what now? He says, you have to keep pushing. And they're like, 3 of them are like, forget about it. You know, we've been pushing for so long, and we didn't get anywhere. It's still dark. He says, I'm telling you, I have to keep pushing. And of course, 3 just decide to give up. And now there's only 2 still pushing. Rabbi Appleseed, and the other one we'll call him Johnny Appleseed. Okay? So Johnny Appleseed and Rabbi Appleseed are together in this. Let's do this. We're going to push. And they're pushing for another week, and they pushed for 3 weeks. Now, they're just about a few inches away from surface. They're about to break surface. They're very, very close to getting out into this world. And all of a sudden, Johnny Appleseed says, Rabbi, I'm sorry to tell you this. He says, don't tell me, just keep pushing. Yeah, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I think it's time for me to give up. He says, what are you doing? You can't give up, we got this far. It's not time to give up. I'm telling you, I can feel it, there's air. I'm telling you, I believe in it, you have to believe in it too. You have to keep trying, you have to keep pushing. He says, I'm not doing this anymore, forget it. He says, watch, I'm going to get there. And when I'm going to get to this world, I'm going to set my roots down. I'm going to tell you and all the other guys down there that there is a world so they could continue pushing and they could get there also. Johnny Appleseed said, Rabbi, you could think whatever you want, you could say whatever you want, you continue pushing, but that's it, I give up. And so he continues to push a little bit more and a little bit more, and finally, Rabbi Appleseed was able to make it above the ground. And the first thing he sees is the sky, and he sees birds flying over him, he sees the sun, and then slowly he starts seeing the moon, and he sees the sun come back, and he's pushing a little bit more, and he starts seeing a little bit around him, and he sees these tall trees around him, and he starts pushing more, and he starts seeing the grass around him, and he starts seeing people playing, and he sees dogs running, and he sees animals, and everything that he's been talking about all this time, he realizes it was all true. So he finally grows up a little bit more and more, and he tries to send his roots down to wake up the people. He says, wake up, wake up. If there's a world out there, I'm telling you, there's a world out there. But we know what happens to Appleseed when it stops pushing? It disintegrates and it dies. So he's trying to wake them up, but they're not waking up. And he realizes that that's it. There's nothing that he could do for them. So he keeps pushing, and finally he grows, and he pushes until he becomes a full apple tree. And he looks to his right, and he sees an orchard, and on the right he sees a cherry tree, and he sees an orange tree, and then a banana tree. And he says, who are you? He says, you're just like us. You're just one of us who made it. He says, what about all our friends? He says, they didn't make it. See, the farmer is smart. He puts a lot of seeds into the ground because he knows only maybe one of those seeds is going to make it. And you are amongst those seeds that have kept pushing and you made it because you didn't give up. While the rest, they gave up. And the lesson to us is, be like the apple seed. Be like Rabbi Appleseed, who didn't give up, who just keeps going. Because if you have emunah and you have trust, and you know that there is a goal that Hashem has set for you, that He wants you to get to this objective, to get to this goal, He'll help you get there, but it's just a matter of persistence, and you can't give up. And that's the lesson of the Rabbi Appleseed. In the end, he looks around himself, and he realizes that he's one of the few. And one day we're going to come to Shemaim, and we're going to say, where's my friends? Not everybody makes it. Not everybody makes it to those levels up there, Those who are pushing and sacrificing themselves for religion, sacrificing themselves to keep Shabbat, sacrificing themselves to come to a class to learn Torah, sacrificing themselves to do whatever it takes to come closer to Hashem. It's for the reserve, for the few. People like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai make it up there. People like Rabbi Akiva make it to those levels. And we could be as well, if we don't give up just like they did.